So welcome everybody to this tech talk of Paco. I have to multitask, so I have to admit people are in the waiting room while speaking, so that's very difficult for me. But welcome everybody, and especially Paco, who wants to share his knowledge about how to get your CKA and CKAD exam. We also have a small contest. The guy or girl who gets his certificate first with this group of people will get a prize. Paco, can you show the prize?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this one is the one I have and has only one arm, but Peter will make sure that the winner of the contest will get one in proper shape and with the eyes shining in blue.
Yay! I see happy faces.
So maybe you can tell everybody how they can win this nice prize here.
Oh wait, we have a lot of people.
Yeah.
Very busy.
So
we have 1 hour. Paco will does his presentation in about 30 minutes. And afterwards, you can ask questions by the chat. So otherwise, we have so many people, it will be very difficult. So, Paco, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Peter. So, thank you everyone for being here and welcome. Today, I want to present to you my experience about the exam CKA and CKAD for Kubernetes and to help you succeed in getting those certifications. So, first of all, a little bit of me. My name is Paco Bernabe. I'm originally from Spain, but live in the Netherlands already 16 years. I'm specialized in cloud infrastructure and automation. And that what you see on the right side is, kind of, if you want to call it a hobby or something to keep me busy and not being bored. I have been getting some certifications in the last 2 to 3 years. I started like some years ago with Red Hat ones. Then I moved to the public cloud ones with Azure, one with AWS. And in the last 4 to 6 weeks, I got my certifications for Kubernetes, starting with the application developer and administrator one. So before we start with the agenda, I just want to make everyone clear why we are here and why we are not. So this is about sharing my experience about these certifications, and it's also a practical guide for you to succeed with those exams. And what this is not a help me with a question of the exam session. So please don't put in the chat or ask me any question that is in the exam. Don't share any content of the exam because we won't answer any of those questions. And this is not either about if the certifications are useful. I assume that you guys are here because you find useful those certifications. If you want to read more about this philosophical discussion, I put in a link here on the bottom, a very nice article about if certifications are useful. And it's a very nice reading. I recommend you to go through it because, I actually agree 100% with what is stated in that article. And with that, we can start with the agenda. We're going to start first talking about the certifications, an introduction about them, the similarities, because there is some overlapping between them, and what are the differences in the certifications. I'm going to share with you the preparation material and some study material that I used, and I think it's going to be useful for you to succeed in the exam. Also, some strategy to work with an example. What is the best way that you can use to deploy any object or succeed with the exercises in the exam or in your training. Then we are going to go through how you can review those deployments, because in the exams, you have to be quick in the deployment and you have to be quick in the review. Then we will go like some practical tips, like what happens the day of the exam, how you can check in, how you start the exam. I'm going to show you also a screenshot with the environment that you're going to find. And at the end, I'm going to share with you some extra material that you don't really need for the exams, but it's nice to use it in your preparation and even after you have passed those exams. And yeah, we finish with some final tips and with questions and answers. So what are those exams? So CKAD stands for Certified Kubernetes Application Developer. They are going to evaluate your knowledge on the part of Kubernetes object deployments. So they are going to see if you can deploy simple objects like pods, deployment, all the way to ingress, network policies. And you can see in the part of differences, for example, you see jobs, cron jobs, and manifest version upgrade. Those are things that are required for CKAD, but are not required for CKA. The same thing, CKA. What is this exam? It stands for Certified Kubernetes Administrator. They want to see also if you can deploy certain objects, certain resources in Kubernetes, but also they move more to the part of the cluster. So they want to see if you understand the networking. They want to see if they understand the maintenance of your cluster, like the OS or Kubernetes upgrade, and something very, very important, if you can do a backup of the etcd. And the etcd is not more than a key value store that keeps the status of your Kubernetes cluster. As I said, there is a really big overlap in both exams. So I always recommend, if you want to prepare one or the other, or I mean, if you want to prepare both, don't leave too much time between the both of them. So if you want to prepare, if you pass CKAD today, don't let pass more than 1 or 2 months before you take the CKA, because they are very similar, and you know, one is going to help you for the training of the other. Then the order. What is the correct order to take those exams? And here I'm including the new one of last year, CKS, Kubernetes Certified Security Specialist. And the reason of this, to put this order, is because if you start with CKAD, the course is shorter. Most of us, we are deploying Kubernetes clusters on the public cloud. So many times you say, well, I just need to deploy like pods, deployments, services, ingress, and network policies. I don't need to get knowledge in upgrading the OS or the etcd or doing backups of the etcd, because many times or always this is taken care of by the cloud providers. So just start with the CKAD. It's much shorter, but I recommend you that you continue with the CKA. I mean, even if you don't need it, it's nice to understand what's happening behind the scene with the CKA, in a Kubernetes cluster. And also because if you want to continue and understand the security is something that you need, even if you are deploying a Kubernetes cluster on the public cloud. And if you want to take the CKS, you need the CKA. It's kind of a requirement. But we are here only to talk about CKAD, CKA. I think CKS deserves an apart session. Next one. Preparation and study material that I used and that I recommend for you to use as well. For CKAD and CKA, I use pretty similar materials. I found the Code Cloud courses in Udemy, so I bought them. They are very nice. They will take you step by step through all the concepts that you need to understand for your exam. And after I finished the course, did all the labs, all the mocking exams, I bought the real exam, and with that you get a killer cell environment. Actually, 2 killer cell environments per exam. I will show you how they look like afterwards, and why you need them. Now I'm preparing, these days I'm preparing the CKS, Security Specialist, and for this one I'm only using the course in Udemy of Killer Cell. The reason is because the CKS course of Code Cloud is not in Udemy anymore, and you need to either to buy the monthly subscription or to buy the yearly one. And for this one, I got really convinced when I did the Killer Cell questions for the CKA, CKAD, got really convinced. So, I wanted to give it a try, to try its course for CKS. Also, the good news is that if you have a week to spare, in the last week of April, Code Cloud has all the courses for free during that week. So you can access any course during that week. And I might, in this case, I will try the CKS, try the labs, how it looks like. And of course, in the bottom, I put the links to the courses, so you can go ahead, click there, and try the courses yourself. This is my experience with preparing for both exams. And you can see on the left side, you see the CKAD, how I prepare. And you can see there is a difference. And I put it like this on purpose because my preparation for CKAD, it wasn't that good. And I got used, or I improved my preparation for the exam, and I applied for my CKA preparation. So for CKAD, I just followed first the videos. I did the labs, which for me was kind of a mistake because I had to repeat the labs more than I wanted to. When I made sure that all the labs, I understood all the concepts, then I moved to the Lightning labs. Code Cloud increased the level on those labs, which is very nice. Then you have mock exams as well. They give you 2 hours, but there are not that many questions. If you want a real look and feel of the exam, which is even more difficult than the real exam, I recommend you, when you buy the exam, to try the killer cell environments. And I will explain you how they look like when I go through the CKA. For the CKA, what I did, I improved my preparation, and I did the labs together with the videos. So every time I was doing some videos, I was trying the labs, and with that, I finished a first iteration. But there were some labs, of course, that I couldn't do them really easily. Even with that, I really wanted to repeat, and I did a second iteration for all the labs. So I started from the first lab, pods, deployment, replica sets, everything, until I finished with troubleshooting. I would say like around 60% of the labs, they were very easy to me, and especially because most of them, they were already in the CKAD preparation. But there were like some labs that I needed, like that they were still easy, but I made some mistakes, so I wanted to repeat them one more time. And for some other labs, especially the ones that are applied only to CKA, in the second iteration, I was kind of struggling, so I tried them again, and then I tried even a fourth time, just to make sure that I was doing them quickly enough. When I made sure that I understood everything, all the concepts, okay, now I can do all the labs very quickly, I moved to the Lightning labs. Unfortunately, in Code Cloud, you have only one, and then I moved to the mock exams. The mock exams in Code Cloud for CKA, they are relatively easy, so you need to go one step further. And for that, you need to do the killer cell environments. So now I can explain you how they look like. When you buy the exam, you get 2 killer cell environments. One environment is valid for 36 hours. So my recommendation here is that you try both environments in continuously days. So if you are in a project, for example, and you cannot reserve a whole days, I would recommend you reserve 2 nights in a row for every environment and 4 nights in a row for both environments. You start on Monday, do the first environment, Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday, Thursday for the second environment. And I can assure you, if you prepare with the Code Cloud exam, by the last day on Thursday, I'm sure you will be able to do the 25 questions of the environment in less than 2 hours. So that's for the recommendation for the killer cell. Once you have done that, my recommendation is that you keep 1 day resting or reading a little bit, some documentation, something very easy. And then on the 6th day, you can do the exam. That's my recommendation. That's how I did it. And let me show you then a table that I used for the preparation of the CKA. As you can see 3, of course, you see the area, the topic, and the number of iterations. Those 3 iterations are for only the labs. So there was a previous iteration for videos plus lab. These iterations are only for labs. But for example, if you see the first one, pods, they were really easy. So I did only 1 iteration. So that's why you see the 3 marks there. I marked them directly, the 3 of them. But then there were like some labs that they were specific for CKA, and although they were easy, I made a couple of mistakes. So that's why I wanted to try once more. And that's, for example, the case of manual scheduling or static pods or multiple schedulers. And then there were a small percentage of labs that they were very important. I was really struggling with them, and I wanted to make as many iterations as possible. And that's the case of backup and restore of the HCD, or certificates, or troubleshooting. Very important that you understand the troubleshooting for the CKA exam. So for this, I made like several iterations until the time that I knew that I understood them quickly, and that I was able to very quick and review very quick. Since I'm gonna share this presentation with you, you can take this table with you, make your own table to organize your work, because there are so many topics. You need to have a table that gives you a picture of where you are. And with that, we go to tips for deployment of objects, or how you need to go through your exercises. And I identified like four ways of doing things here. Either you do like direct creation with a command line, like you can do pods, deployments, and replica sets. It's very easy to do, right? And services ingress. Then you go maybe to secrets, config maps, role bindings. Those, they need more options, and I always recommend to use the help flag. So let's say you want to, you are in the exam, you are required to deploy a role and role binding, right? I mean, you have only 2 hours. You are very nervous, so you don't want to start remembering what options do I need. Just type kubectl create, for example, a role, and then you write min h. You will get the help, and at the end of the help, you get an example with all the subcommands, all the parameters that you need. And believe me, it's just like filling out a form, really easy. So important, if you're doubting, use the -h flag always. Then there are other that you might need to do a dry run, export them to a YAML file, because maybe there are some options that are not available in the command line. So you want to create a YAML file from a dry run, do it, and then you can always look into the documentation, or with the kubectl explain what else you need, right? For example, an example that I like is daemon sets, right? Because daemon sets, you cannot create them from the command line. So a useful tip for this is to create a deployment and then export it to a YAML file and make the changes there. Because at the end of the day, a deployment, a daemon set is a deployment that is going to, with pods that are going to run in all the nodes. So you don't, something that you don't need is replicas, right? Because if you have 2 nodes, you cannot have 3 or 4 replicas of the daemons for the pods of a daemon set, right? You only need 2. So that's a parameter that is not in a daemon set, but because it's very similar, you can get it from there. Also, current jobs, they have many options. You can always like export them as well. Get the other options via the documentation or the kubectl explain command. And talking about kubectl explain, to me is a very useful command because you can get the structure of the YAML file. So for me, for example, it's very useful if I want to put environment variables in a pod, or I want to mount volumes or config maps or secrets as a volume, because maybe I don't remember the options, right? So if you more or less remember where it is, then do kubectl explain, put the path until everything you remember, and you will start seeing a list of the parameters that you need. If the path is too long, the one that you don't remember, I will say like just copy it and pass it in your YAML file and start giving it structure. So for example, if you have like parameter 1 and then parameter daughter 2, parameter daughter 3, something like that, just copy those 3 parameters, ... and then start giving like some indentation. So, you know, instead of remembering them, just copy all of them and start with the structure in the YAML file. And last but not least, documentation. I think it's very important that you know where to find everything you need in documentation. Fortunately, you have access to the documentation in the exam. So I would recommend you to have one tab open with a web browser directly to the Kubernetes documentation, because basically you can just copy paste entire codes. And I recommend this for persistent volumes, claims, how to mount them in a pod, readiness of liveness proof, network policies, or even follow instructions on how to make the backup of a etcd and to upgrade Kubernetes. Because it's like, seriously, just follow the steps. It's really, really easy. And if deploying things is important, deploying objects is important, reviewing them is as equal as important. I'm not going to go through it, but you can read later on your own my tips to review if your objects were correctly deployed. But you know, look at pods. You know, if you just run a pod, just run the kubectl get pod and see if it's running. Same with the deployments, with the services. Just you can describe it, because one of the biggest failures or one of the biggest mistakes that people do is to create a service without an endpoint. So many times, maybe the label in the service, the label selector in the service doesn't match the label in the pod. So then you don't have any endpoint. So that means that exercise or task is not valid, because you cannot access. You don't have any service there, any endpoint. Let's say for roles, you can check if you can do what the role is supposed to do. And one that I like is about the network policies. If you create the network policies for your pods to limit the connectivity, make sure that you enter one of the pods and run call together with the IP and the port, if needed, against the pod that you want access to. This is very important. And I think you need to practice the reviews, because because in the courses you get many times the check button, and you get either the green light or the red light, and it's like driving a car with how do you call it, with navigation system, Then in the exam you don't have it, and you don't know how to drive the car, right? So just get used to review, also because it's going to help you for the troubleshooting exercises. So if you know how to review the deployment of an object, you know how to troubleshoot if you have a task like this. What else? Well, this is some practical tips for the day of the exam that I actually learned the hard way. Because let me tell you, I needed 5 attempts for the CKAD. And only in two of them, I could actually take the exam. In the first one, I was using a Linux laptop, and they couldn't see my screen. On the second attempt, I was using a company laptop, so I couldn't even start the browser. And on the third attempt, I was using, a desktop that I have here from years ago. It was extremely slow. I couldn't even start the browser. So then it's like, I'm gonna buy a proper laptop. I bought a MacBook Pro, and for the fourth attempt, so I didn't have any problem doing the exam. But yeah, it was my first time actually doing the exam. So in this one I failed. You need 66% to pass exam, and I got a 60, unluckily. But yeah, fortunately I knew where my mistakes were, so I booked the exam for the fifth attempt, like maybe 3-4 days later, and I passed with 83%. What else? Of course, even if you have a Linux laptop and you say, okay, I will create a VM with Windows, please don't, because the only application that can be running at the time of the exam is the PSI browser. The only thing. You can't run parallels of of boxes or a virtual box. You can't run that. It's not allowed, and they won't let you take the exam. What else? Be on time, right? Because when you book the exam, the check-in actually starts half an hour before you start the exam. So you want to make sure that no time is taken for your exam, although they won't do it, but just to make sure, I had both experiences. I had check-ins of half an hour, and for the CKA, I was done in like 10-15 minutes, and I could start the exam very quickly. When it comes to your desk, please leave it totally empty. Just have your computer or laptop, whatsoever, and they allow you a glass of water, but that's the only thing you need to have. The check-in is quite strict, so they don't allow anything in your wrist. They're gonna check your ears, so you have to take your camera all around the room. Make sure that you have 2 hours when nobody's gonna disturb you, because well, in my case for the CKA, I got my son coming into the exam area, so they stopped the exam and they gave me a warning. But luckily he left in a couple of minutes, so I could continue the exam. When it comes to the screen, they recommend 15 inches, but in my case it was 14 inches, and I was quite okay with that. So make sure it's a proper screen that you can see everything, because the actual environment, there are a lot of how do you call it, like parallel windows, and the actual area where you can take the exam is very small. And yeah, the exam is 2 hours, but you can spend like a couple of minutes just to make sure that you get familiar with the environment. And I will show you an example how it looks like. This one I actually took it from the Linux Foundation page, and I can walk through it a little bit. On the left side, you have all the questions that you need to take. So also with the weight of it, right? Of course, the bigger the percentage, the more difficult And the more important the question is. Here you have the time. You see a green bar that is getting smaller and smaller when the time is passing by. You have some context about the question, what it is about. In this one, you can see it's about the deployment, replica, pod, you see here in what context you need to do this exercise. And I will say that in the recommendation, but I want to say it now. The first thing that you have to do when you start an exercise is to get the right context. You have the command here that you can execute. Just copy it, paste it in your environment to make sure that you are in the current context. Because if you are not, you might break things that you don't want to. And you will have, if you scroll down here, you have a description of the question. And I said again afterwards, but please read carefully the question, because many times you have to execute things that are not in the different namespace, and they will tell you in what namespace you have to do it, and this is very important. Tips for what you need here. This is the area where you are going to work actually, and you can open the documentation. So my advice here is maximize both windows, because this area is quite small, and you can change between your terminal and the browser by clicking here in those tabs. You have your terminal, you have your documentation here. Something very important, please don't scroll down and up in the documentation. Use the finding page option. And the best way that I found it to enable this is to go to this right up corner, right click, and you will see how to enable the toolbar. Then you see the toolbar in the web browser. You have file, edit, many of them. In edit, if you open it, you will find the finding page. Left click on it, and you will have it here on the bottom for the whole exam. So one object especially, or one task especially that I recommend the finding page is for the persistent volume, because you need to first normally to create the persistent volume. So you need to look for it. Then you need to create the claim. So you need to look for it again, and then you might need to mount it in a pod. So again, all these three things of the code, they are in the same page. So the page is quite extensive, and the scroll down, scroll up doesn't work really well. So it's much better to use the finding page. So that for the environment. I put you here also a link to the handbook for the exam, so you can read more tips about it in this page of the Linux Foundation. And with this, we have some final tips. As I told you, please change the context always. That's the first thing you need to do. Don't attempt an exercise without changing the context. They give you even the command in the beginning of the exercise, so please copy paste the command, and you will be fine. Read the questions carefully, especially about namespace and parameters. Please read it twice. When it comes to this, quite generic, and I'm sure you've heard of that. Don't spend too much time in a question if you don't know it. You have normally like around 15 questions in the exam, so it is okay to skip 2 or 3. Just to make sure that you get to the end of the exam, and maybe you miss 2 or 3. Go back, because you will have enough time to do it, and you go through these 2 or 3 questions that you left. Something that I learned the hard way: if you delete a pod, please always use the -force flag, because it takes a lot of time for a pod to delete if you don't use it. I mean, we are talking about, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds since few time, but you're gonna delete pods, a lot of pods during the exam. So please use the tab. Something that I liked for the exams to do is to get 2 tabs of the terminal. So one tab where I was actually working, another tab where I would maybe execute the kubectl explain. because I don't want to have all them everything in one screen. I will go to the other one, and I will do the kubectl explain, copy paste all the parameters I need, move to the other one, and then execute my code. And of course, the third tab for the web browser. I talked about that in a previous slide. Use the help as much as you can, because you don't want to guess what you need. You want to be lazy in this one. You want to use the help because you want to have the sensation that you are just filling a form, right? You understand what you need to do. Let the help you in what you need to add to the command. And I'm not sure if Sander van Vogt is in the audience, but he told me years ago when I was following his training for the Red Hat System Administrator, that he told us that people don't fail because they don't know the concepts. People fail because they don't read carefully. So please read twice the question, read twice the command that you are running, read twice the manifest that you are writing, and allow you some time to check the result, to review. And what can I say? I don't know if it wasn't clear. Read carefully, read carefully, read carefully, read carefully, read carefully, as much as you can. Let me see. Yeah. And yeah, there's some extra material that I added here. You don't really need it for the exam, but I like to have it on the side. So Kubernetes Cookbook, the first one, Kubernetes Cookbook can help you in the CKAD exam. Learning core DNS, Kubernetes programming with Go doesn't really, it's not gonna help you for CKA, but it's nice to have it a read, even after you pass exam. And the fourth one, Hacking Kubernetes. I knew of this book in the past Kubernetes community days in February here in Amsterdam, because the writer of this book, Andrew Martin, he organized a workshop about security in Kubernetes. Very nice. So after I followed and I talked to this guy, I said, man, I'm gonna buy your book. I really want to, even if I pass the CKS, I will have this book to read again and again. And you have also a couple of links, useful links. You have here the Killer SH GitHub. I think, okay, I got mute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, two links, Killer SH environment. You have here exercises or solutions to the Killer SH simulations. And you have also a couple of scripts on how you can create your own environment. So you can spin up 2 VMs in your laptop, create one control plane and one node, really easy. So you can start, doing things on your own laptop. And this one here is very useful for the CKAD exam. It's 150 questions or 150 exercises for the CKAD. It's quite old. I think it's like 3-4 years old, and it doesn't have everything that is required nowadays for the CKAD, but there are many useful exercises. I did a couple of times, and I recommend you to do it as well. And with that, I will leave you some time for questions and answers.
Paco, you have some questions already in the chat box. Okay. Can you see them?
Let me see. So I see shall I read them from up to down? I think Sami is the first one.
No, you have Jeroen.
Sorry?
Oh, no. I have a question from Jeroen. Can the screen be bigger than 15-inch? But that was a direct message to me. But maybe you can see all the other chats.
Yeah, okay. But okay, it was directly to you. But you said that if the screen can be bigger, I mean, the bigger the better. The recommendation for the size is the minimum. Because I tried with a 14 inches, it was quite okay for me. but Linux Foundation recommends 15 inches. But if it is bigger, even better.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So you can also use the external monitor. So I use very big
Yeah, that's
monitor.
another thing. You cannot do that because I tried that, and they tell you the check-in of the PSI browser will tell you that it detected 2 screens, even if you
No,
are
not
using
2 screens.
No, I know if you are using your laptop and an external monitor, it will still detect 2 screens, and it will tell you this is not allowed. So
Okay.
either you have a desktop with a big screen, or you have a laptop with normally
Okay.
laptops they have 14, 15 inches.
Interestingly, for me, I could use the external monitor.
Yeah.
I just used the external monitor as the main monitor,
Okay.
and that way it helped me, so
Okay.
that I could use the bigger monitor.
Okay, so then the PSI browser didn't detect the laptop one.
Yeah,
Then.
I
Okay.
used only one monitor as the
Okay.
main
Okay.
screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you are. One more tip, quite useful actually, because as you saw in the environment, you have a small portion of place where you can actually work.
Yeah, true. Bigger monitor is better.
Yeah. Okay, so let me read the questions here. Question regarding the study material. What do you find about the course material of Sander van Vogt from Pearson? I didn't follow it because I think I had enough with the one of Code Cloud and ClearShell. I know personally Sander van Vogt from other trainings, and I'm sure that training, if you have O'Reilly or you have Pearson, then follow it, because his courses are normally very nice, very useful, and he goes a little bit even more what you need for the exam, so that he makes sure that when you arrive to the exam, it's actually easier for you. And what is your opinion to take the exam and at the test center? It depends on you. I've tried Red Hat exams at the test center, and I never had a bad experience. So but now they're allowed to do it at home. So for me, I actually prefer it to do it at home because I don't need to travel anywhere else. And I make sure I can make sure that I'm on time, and you have more flexibility on when you can take the exam. And depending on you, like the CKA, I don't know what happened to me, but I did at 6:30 in the morning. So I don't think there is a test center open at the time. Let's go to the next one. Hi, Paco, which aliases variables did you use for the CKA? I didn't use aliases or variables, although you can use them, and many people prefer it like this. I'm more a friend of using the tab key. I think every time I execute a command, maybe I've used the tab key maybe even 20 times. I'm like all the time clicking to autocomplete the rest of the word of the command. But if you like, you can use them. Many people do it. Like for example, instead of kubectl, you can use alias with just k, or you can even for a dry run. Many people do that because you need to write min dry run equal client min o YAML. Many people call it D, so you can just write $D, and you can type less. But my personal way is to use a tab to autocomplete, and you have the autocomplete in the exam, so you don't have to install it or worry about it. Let's see what else. Niles, thank you. You are welcome, ma'am. Can I open 2 tabs of document? Sure. I mean, for the CKAD, you not only need the Kubernetes IO page, but you also need the helm.sh, because you might get in the CKAD, you might get a Helm task. So you can have in your browser within your environment. That's very important. You cannot use an external browser. Everything needs to be in the environment. So you can open as many tabs as you want. But for the CKA, I needed only one for Kubernetes documentation. And for the CKAD, I had Kubernetes documentation and help documentation. And Rogier, I assume that, very funny. I assume installing tools like, I don't think so. I didn't need it, so I don't think you need it in the exam. But thank you for asking, Rogier. What else? I missed the beginning and I was upset about it. Don't worry, Flora. If you still see the question and answer, you see in the bottom, you can see the link where Peter will upload the video afterwards. So you can see it from the beginning, so you don't miss anything. You cannot install anything. No, I mean you don't need that much in the end. So don't get yourself in trouble with installing things. I mean, even like if you want to upgrade the version of a manifest, I think kubectl convert is already installed. And if it's not installed, the documentation is there. You can follow step by step. But you don't need to install extra things. Everything that you need is already installed. Question of Safar. If I may ask, how much did you pay in total for the exams? And that's another tip that I'm going to give you. I think normally the exams are, if you pay the whole price, I think they are like 400 euros, depending on the region. Please, anyone correct me if I'm wrong. I think 395 if you pay the whole price. But please don't do it, because you can easily find in, if you just Google, how do you call it? If you just Google discount for CKA exam or token or coupon, something like that, I'm sure you will find in any page a coupon of like 20 or 35% discount. Even if by the end of the year, by Black Friday, they even discount 50%. So you know, it's if you're depending when you want to do it. You know, normally I think companies by the end of the quarter, you know, to make the numbers, they give the biggest discounts. So if you wait like, I don't know, end of March, end of June, end of September, even end of December, even better, you might get the biggest discounts. So please never pay the whole price. Just look for a discount because they're more than enough. What else? Puya, is okay to directly aim for CKA? Yes, you can. And this is something that, thank you for asking, because this is something I want to mention as well. I'm not sure if I have people in the audience that tried CKA last year or 2 years ago, but I always heard that CKA was more difficult than CKAD. In my case, this year at least, is the opposite. I got less questions in CKAD, and they were more difficult. For CKA, I think I got like 4 more questions than, or four or five more questions than CKAD, but they were very easy. I mean, not of course you had all the levels of questions. You always had the impossible tasks that you need to leave at the end, you know, and many people won't solve it. But you can try to answer your question. You can try the CKA perfectly. You don't need it, but to me it helped to leave some concepts on the side, to start with few concepts and then building up my knowledge of the exams.
Thank you.
It's necessary, but for me it's recommendable.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Do you have to renew the certificates yearly? No, this is not like Azure. The certifications are valid for 3 years, and after 3 years you need to retake the exam. Maybe they will change. They will change it, because if you see the other vendors, if you see Azure, for example, if you have the certification, you don't need to take the exam anymore. because the certifications of Azure, they are valid for 2 years, but you retake, you can retake it by doing an assessment that is going to be valid for 1 year. And I've seen, after Azure did that, I've seen moves from Red Hat and from AWS. Like in the case of Red Hat and AWS, at least Red Hat, they are giving now a free retake. AWS, they are giving a free retake, or they are giving big discounts to make it easier. But yes, you need to do it every 3 years. And you can also ask on Reddit on Kubernetes for a voucher. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. What I said before, never pay the whole price. Just pay attention to the offers, discounts. There will be many through the year because Linux Foundation is always making all these offers. So if you combine maybe 2 exams or 2 certifications, you can get a discount, or you get a small discount if you buy just 1 exam. Make sure that you wait for those discounts. And if you don't see any campaign of discounts, just look for them in internet. I'm sure that you will find a coupon. What else? Let me see. Can we be asked to install Kubernetes the hardware? I think you mean the hard way, Flora.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. No. So for the exam, you just need to use QVDM. Okay. And that's another useful tip that I can give you. Mm-hmm. Make sure where you are running the commands, because many times for the CKA exam, you are given a client host or a client machine, mm-hmm. And if you want, you can SSH to the control plane. You can SSH the worker node. So make sure that you know where you are when running a command. Okay. But they won't ask you to install anything the hard way. Let me see, where were we? So Bart, thank you. Thank you for joining, Bart. Safar, thank you, Paco, great insight. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Rogier, for joining. Thank you very much, man. So I see here 13 is not supported. Use, I mean, they are supported, but it's so small that you might not be able to read. So as Niels was saying, maybe you can just disable the small screen and enable the big one, and then PSI browser, it will detect only one screen. And I see here you use the keyboard of the laptop. In my case, I did the keyboard of the laptop. I didn't use any external keyboard. If somebody else has a different experience, please share it with the rest. But
yeah, I use all external keyboard, mouse, monitor, okay. Camera, yeah. All external.
Yeah, so that should be okay. And thanks a lot. You're welcome, Niles. Thank you, ma'am. So you have.
So Pascal,
hold on. Can go through the questions first because I have just a few. So you have external keyboard. Okay, thanks for the tips. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
those are the questions.
So
what time is it now?
We already have a date for the next talk. Maybe about being successful passing the CKS exam. So can you tell us something about your plans about which, when, etc.?
Yeah. So in principle, we have to see. First, I need to pass it.
So, if you fail, you know why you fail.
I don't want to give tips of something that I failed. But yeah, I've been since I finished my project end of March. The last 2 weeks, I've been at home. I haven't been bored. I've been keeping myself busy, so I started already with Kubernetes security specialist training, and I feel like 30% from the training, and I hope to finish it maybe in the next couple of weeks. We'll see. And with that, I said that CKS is self and apart session, and it does because you are revisiting a lot of concepts that you did in CKAD and CKA, but with the extra flavor of security. So it's a lot of, and there's a lot of new concepts there as well. And what I've heard from the 3 exams is the most difficult one. And everyone says that you have to play a lot with the time. So you have to do a lot of time management in that exam. But I think we plan for somewhere in May. But we will send an invitation, of course, as soon as I have the date. First, please, Peter, let me pass exam, and then we can
I don't want to pressure
complete the
you.
date.
I want to challenge you, not pressure.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so if anyone has some kind of wish, maybe a certain topic within the CKA, CKAD, maybe Paco can have a session about that topic. So Paco, have your email address there as well?
Definitely. Can we actually upload the presentation to the chat?
Yeah, you can
Or
click,
maybe,
and you will click on file and then upload it. You see on the corner of the chat, or on the bottom of the chat, you see an icon, you can click on it and then select the file and then upload it. But we can also put it on LinkedIn or something. But
yeah, definitely. Let me see, because I don't see it now. Chats.
go down all the way, and then you see a few icons. And one of it.
Yeah, I see it. Mute, stop video, security, participants, user, chat, post, stop
I go
recording.
to the right. You have to open your chat window.
Okay.
And then in the chat window, you scroll.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yes, let me see. Oh, yes, I see it now.
And there you can select the file.
This. Yeah. So this one was, I put it here in documents, articles, CKA talk. Yes, now it's uploading.
So
I hope this person. So it's in the chat there.
And if people have any other questions,
and another interesting question about Killer says, does 36 hours elapse once you started? Yes. So please make sure that once you started is a time when you are going to actually do the exercise. And actually, when the time finishes, you have still access to the answers. So if you want to still have access to the questions and answers, you won't be able to type anything, but you still have the questions and the solution of it. So if you want to, do it again. And I see here one person that is going to try the CKAD exam in the upcoming week.
If he passes, maybe he will win the tux droid.
Yeah. So the first person that does exam, please contact me or contact Peter. We'll make sure that you get one of those beautiful penguins.
It's a robot. It's not just a doll. It's a robot. You can program it.
Yeah, sure. Definitely, I will inform you.
Yeah.
So please make us happy and let us send you a tux droid if you pass the exam.
Hold on, I see it because
Paco, I don't see the presentation in the chat. Is that right? Your presentation. You said you uploaded the presentation. But...
Yeah, but there were more questions afterwards, so I don't know if you got.
So does everybody have your email address?
I actually am going to put it here because it's in the presentation. But if people didn't get the presentation, we're going to have a chicken and egg problem.
And so they can send you an email or me. So
yeah,
I will send my email.
So that's my email. And actually, let me put my LinkedIn profile real quick also here. So you can contact me also via LinkedIn. Copy and paste. And that's my LinkedIn profile. So feel free to click there and contact me. If you have any question further than today, please let me know. If I see a lot of questions regarding specific topics, Peter, I think we can organize a more hands-on session, and we can just, I can stop talking, and then we can do some actual work on the terminal.
Okay. Now then we are in the end of this tech talk. Paco,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jaime, and thank you very much, everyone, for joining.
Yeah. So please leave your comments at the YouTube channel, like the video, of course. And yeah, if you have any suggestions, please let us know so we can make a tailor-made presentation for what you really want. Yeah. So now I'm going to end this tech talk. Thank you very much, and yeah, see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, bye.